Hey guys, I'm Nick, and I'm going to run you through an absolute beginner's course on how to use AutoCAD LT. So this the light version of AutoCAD. It's two-dimensional only, but it's super useful, really versatile, and I use it consistently in my work life and for projects that I go through. So yeah, I'm just going to start running through some of the pitfalls that I remember, like, running into, the real basic things that, like, people kind of just expect you to know, but, yeah, like, some of these things, took me a while to understand. Okay, let's get into it. First of all, this is where you will land, when you open the application. Uh, I've got a few templates that I've been working on, but you probably just want to start on a standard metric template. So the model space is like an area where you would have your 2 or 3 dimensional model, and then so that's where all of your designing and creating happens. And then the layout or paper space is where you would create a 2 dimensional representation of that model. So that would be like a drawing that you might give to the shop floor, for example. AutoCAD runs through a command system, so you can access those commands like through the toolbars up the top, or you can drag and move those toolbars to wherever you want around the layout, or you can access those commands through the keyboard as well. So I can access the line tool here, but I can also access the line tool by typing line and then hitting enter, and you see it shows up in this command line. Or uh, AutoCAD also automatically fills things. So for line, for example, you can just type L, enter, and it knows you're going to use a line. That's for the most common commands like line, circle is C, etc. Right. Another thing about AutoCAD, you will need a mouse, like a dedicated mouse with a mouse wheel and that is clickable, because the way that you move around in AutoCAD is by clicking the mouse wheel and holding to move, and then scrolling the mouse wheel to zoom in and out. All right. So let's start with creating a line. Uh, Type in line, hit enter, and you can see AutoCAD is asking for what inputs it needs. So like here, line specify start point. So I'm just going to click a location, and then now it's looking for a next point. The way that I usually run this is I'll uh, put my mouse in the direction that I'm wanting the line to go, and then specify the length. So if I want it to be 50 millimeters long, that's how long that is. And then I can move the mouse so that it's orientating the line at 90 degrees again, and then continue making lines. And then I can now click C for close, and that will create a box like that. Next shape would be a rectangle. Once again, specify the first corner, and then you can go dimensions for the length, for the width of the rectangle. If I wanted it to be 30 by 30, it's going to tell me, it's going to create this preview of the rectangle that I'm looking for, but then it's still wanting to check which direction the rectangle is going to be from that original start point. So you still have to click one more time in order to confirm that. The next shape would be a circle. So you can just type in C. So circle is looking for a center point, and then it'll follow with a radius. So if I want to put the center point at the end here, for example, and then specify the radius should also be 30, that's how you get a circle. Next on the list would be a polygon. So if you want a pentagon, hexagon, type in polygon. Now it's going to ask you how many sides. So I'll start with a hexagon, 6-sided. I want it to start from this corner, and then it's going to ask you whether you want it inscribed within the circle, so the point to touching the circle, or you want it outside the circle. So uh, it's asking for the flat sides being tangent to the circle. So I'm going to say inscribed. So you can see here it's asking for an option, and you can see that the first letter of these two options is highlighted. You can actually click on which one you want, or you can type in the letter of that, or you can type in the letter that is highlighted and press enter. So you can see this way it's asking for the point. So that's the center distance to the point of the or the vertice of the polygon. One of the most common buttons to press while you're in AutoCAD is actually escape. So if you type in a command line, but you've actually realized, oh, I don't want a line, I actually should have drawn a polyline or a rectangle or whatever, you can always clear the commands just by pressing escape. I find while I'm working, I'm often just hitting escape quite regularly to make sure that I have not selected something and I'm still working with that by accident. So for example, if I have this selected, but I'm actually working down here and I wanted to move this, you can see I'm also moving that circle. So it's always good practice to, like, before you start selecting something, just make sure you hit escape to make sure you've cleared any selections that you have. Okay, that should probably bring us on to some of the transforms. So I actually did some lines in here to help me with this. So in order to use the move tool, I would select whatever it is that I want to move, type in M for move, or I can type in the full move, and then it's going to ask me for a base point, which is where I want to move from, and then where I want to move it to. So I'm going to move it from there, and then you can see the ghost of the original shape. So I just wanted to move it over by the width of the original shape. Next transform would be the rotation tool. So it all works very similarly. If I type in rotate or row, then it's going to ask me once again for a base point. So I'm going to do this one, and then it's going to ask me for a rotation angle. So if I rotate it this way, 90 degrees, negative 90 degrees, or 270 degrees. Okay, next would be the scale tool. The scale tool is a little bit more complicated because you start getting a bit of a reference. So I can hit scale, and then if I wanted to just double this, I click an edge and hit 2 and make it twice the size. However, if I wanted to make one dimension a certain size, so you'll see here, like as soon as I move that, it's scaling. As soon as I move the mouse, it's trying to scale it huge because it's currently my mouse is 13 millimeters away from the original base point, and so it's trying to say, okay, 13 times the size. But usually I want to make it so that you can set it up to have a reference length. So I'll hit R, and then I want to use this reference length, which was, I believe it was 50. No, it was 100. So I'm going to make that 120. Makes it 1.2 times the size. So just two different ways to operate the scale. That's probably all for today. I think I hope that's kind of clarified a little bit of the reasoning behind some of these ideas and the mechanism of how these things are working. Yeah, if that's helpful to you guys, please give me a like and a subscribe, and hopefully more videos to come. Cheers.